Hello and welcome to this what to do when video. Today we're going to be looking at what to do when you think your client may have a disc pathology. So they have an injured disc. They may not be sure, but they come into the session with you, and prior to starting you can ask them some questions to see whether it's wise to continue with the session and train as normal, or whether you need to refer them out. So number one is, do they have pain in the morning? So the symptoms they're getting when they're waking up, is that when the pain is worst? If this is the case, it can be when the disc is swollen. So if there is a disc injury and it's swollen because of them being in bed all night, it can have compressions on the nerves, which is why it's creating the pain at that time. If this is something that they answer yes to, this is a consideration for further investigation that they have actually done something to the disc. Number two is when the pain gets worse on coughing, sneezing, or passing stool. So if the client is, if they cough and they get the replication of the symptoms, again with sneezing, or they've been to the toilet and noticing that their pain is worse, then if they've passed stool, again, that is an indication that it could be another disc issue. So at the moment, we're looking at pain worse in the morning, coughing and sneezing, and passing stool. The next one as well is when there is a delayed onset to the pain. So it's not necessarily they felt the pain there and then, but they've done maybe an unaccustomed activity, and then after the activity they've noticed that something wasn't right, but then later in the day or the next morning, that's when the pain sets in. So there is a delay in the actual symptoms from when they theoretically sustained the injury. Another one as well is if they've done an unaccustomed event, or they felt the movement go when lifting something heavy with both flexion and rotation. So they've been picking something up from the floor, they were slightly bent over and flexed and rotated, they've gone to pick up and created intra-abdominal pressure, and that's when they felt the pain. If that's the case, that would be another indication that, again, it is a disc one. Finally, it's any referred pain or numbness in the legs. So if they say they can feel tingling sensation, burning sensation, a loss of power from anything in the lower limb, again, this is an indication that there's something gone on at the nerve root, and then we need to look at referring them out. Now, as a personal trainer, this is something you have to really consider, especially if they're doing some compound lifting such as a squat or a deadlift. If they answered to yes to 2 out of 5 of these questions, I would personally stop the session, refer them out to an appropriate healthcare practitioner for further investigation. What you can do, which is perfectly in your remit, if they come in and say my lower back doesn't feel right, or I've had any of those 5 symptoms, is simply you can get them to sit down in this position here, and we're going to do a modified slump test, which is just a test that we can see if they have any pain. The client puts their feet just slightly out in front of them. We're going to get them to tuck their chin to the chest and just round their back slightly like this. If that replicates the pain at all and they feel the symptoms, or they have any type of increase in the pins and needles going down the leg, this is indication that something's not right with the disc. I would stop the session there and get them referred out to the healthcare practitioner. What you'll get is that once you've had a confirmed diagnosis, either from the person that they see or via an MRI or X-ray, you can then start the process of rehabilitation once the disc has had time to heal. Very acutely, if they can't get booked in with a practitioner, you'd say that you get them to ice the area of pain for 1 minute, then apply heat for 1 minute. Do that 3 times, starting with ice, but then finishing with ice at the end. Whether movement is good for the individual is going to be based on their age, previous injuries, and their training history. So movement, the amount of movement someone does will be bespoke to that person.